I'm a big believer that adversity doesn't create character, it reveals it. From the outside looking in, it looked like that NIU game was a real turning point for this team. Is that the case?
Well, I think there's lessons to learn from losing. And there's lessons that only losing can teach you. And, you know, I remember telling the team in our Monday team meeting after NIU is that this could be the greatest thing that happens to this football program and to this team if we utilize the lessons that it taught us. And more than any schematic thing, I think it was that we had to learn how to handle success. Myself, I've never been in that position where you win the big game early. We had a big win over A&M obviously this year, and I think I as a leader had to learn how to handle success. We as a program had to learn how to handle that. You know, now the challenge is to make sure you don't lose that pain. You don't lose the lessons that you learn about yourself and about your program when you're at your lowest moments. And so I always tell these guys, keep the pain and understand that if we can continue to keep the pain and prepare the way we're preparing, you know, it can determine an outcome that we want.
It's interesting. I was in this locker room as a true freshman and got my first PT out on that field against Air Force, and I thought I was ready. Then I got out on the field, and it was moving fast, man. I didn't know who to block. I didn't know who was running past. I was so excited. And then as things went on, you get settled down and you figure it out. I'm curious about your journey as a head coach. Did it follow a similar trajectory?
Yeah, I think that's life, right, is that you learn through experience. You always think you're ready, but there's lessons that you don't learn until you go through it. And I tell a lot of coaches that I know that are first-time head coaches, I say, there's nothing I can tell you that's really going to help you through this journey, right? You have to go through it yourself. You're prepared. Now you figure it out as a leader. And so same thing for me. There's lessons that I've had to learn, and I still continue to learn. And that the only thing that does is give you a chance to have an outcome on Saturdays that you want. There's nothing guaranteed. We have to continue to put in the work. I have to continue to evolve and learn and gain wisdom as a leader. And if you think you're at the finish line, you know what, you're going to get passed by. And that's something that I truly believe in.
What's year 3 Marcus Freeman say when he puts his arm around rookie first-year coach Marcus Freeman? What do you know now that you wished you had known then?
I think more than anything, time heals everything, right? Time heals everything. My wife reminded me yesterday, we were driving into work, and she says there's lessons that you learn as a football coach and as a head coach that apply to life. And she said one of those things is pick up the pieces, right? And that being a coach is a reflection of life. There's going to be hopefully more ups than downs, but downs are inevitable. And that can be a loss. That can be a loss of recruit. That can be a loss of a coach. That can be family problems. But pick up the pieces, learn from those moments that you're down, and continue to march forward.
In your introductory press conference, you made mention of the work ethic that you saw your father bring to the table, the other-centric focus that your mother had. How have the lessons that you learned growing up as a kid in that household helped you as a head coach?
You know, I think as you get older in life and you mature, you realize you're a reflection of what you've seen, the lessons that you've seen at home through coaches, not always what you hear, but what you see. And that's what I saw with my father. Obviously, he served in the Air Force for 26 years, but he was a disciplined, hardworking, routine. You know, he always had a routine. Man, he taught me that. He taught me discipline. He taught me hard work. He taught me getting up early and, you know, working late and having a routine. And those are things that I do, right, still to this day. And I learned that from watching him. Not hearing all the things he said, more watching him. And then my mother, you know, she comes to the United States in 1976 and probably doesn't speak a lick of English. Probably still doesn't understand a whole bunch about the game of football. She just is always happy when we win. That's what she texts me. Go Irish, I love you. But she used to work 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs in a day. And she would come home from work, no matter what time it was, make dinner for me, my brother, and my father, which was an American dinner, and then have her own Korean dinner she would make for herself. And that's selfless. That's other-centered. That's putting your family first. And I want me to be that with my family, but also I want our football program to be that, to be other-centered, right? This can't be about you and your individual glory. This has to be about giving to Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
If you give more than you take, special things are going to happen. And if we can continue to do that and just say, whatever my role is, I'm going to get it done so we can achieve team glory on Saturdays, some of that individual glory might come to you, but don't aspire for that. Aspire for team glory, and special things will happen.
Define team glory.
It's the greatest feeling in the world. It's those moments when the clock says 0 and your team's victorious, right? And it doesn't matter who gets the credit. It doesn't matter what your role was in that game. Everybody in our program should feel that they got their job done so we could celebrate in that locker room. And I always tell our guys, don't get used to this. This is the greatest feeling in the world, right? When you're in this locker room and you know you put in all your hard work and effort into achieving this moment. Those are guys that didn't step on the field. Those can be graduate assistants. Those can be coordinators. Those can be the head coach. But all of us in this room have given to Notre Dame so we can have this moment where we achieve team glory. You know, for me, by the time I get on that plane or get back to my office after a game, it's okay, let's evaluate and move forward. But that moment in that locker room is something special that takes a lot of hard work to achieve, and that's what team glory is.
You described this team as gritty. What do you mean by that?
You know what? You never stop. No matter what the situation is, no matter if you're up, you're down, you're tied, you win this play. This play that's coming up is the most important play of the game. And if you keep that mentality, that's to me is the definition of a gritty group.
It's interesting. You mentioned your father and what you learned from him with the resilience. I saw that grit right out of the gate on the road in an adverse environment against Texas A&M with a bunch of young bucks up front on that offensive line. Does that group, maybe more so than any, I know there's a lot of great stories, but talk about the resilience and the grit of that unit.
It's so important that group is one, right? And to start the season, we had 2 or 3 guys starting at fall camp that weren't starting when we played Texas A&M, but that group has to be one. And no matter who's up front, who's the 5 that's going in, I continue to say that group has to be one. And we've had different guys start throughout the year. We've had freshmen start. We've had guys that started previously that didn't start in week 1 that are starting now, but you got to be one. And that group has just continued to improve. They've put their own individual goals aside to do what's greatest for Notre Dame in this football program, and I couldn't be more proud of a position group than the O-line.
What permissions do you give yourself to enjoy things? Like what's the fun? It's so hard because you have to move on so quickly. What are the moments that you take just an extra beat to relish in?
You know, I've tried to, I'm a routine guy, as I said. After games, I immediately like to watch the film. That's my therapy, right? I want to watch it. But then, especially at home games when we win, I like to go home and just try to be around my family and enjoy those moments, those hours, maybe those minutes together. It's hard, obviously, with night games. My kids got to go to bed, but I try to just enjoy that with my family. So the moments in the locker room with the team, go get the film watched, and then try to enjoy that moment with my family.
On your introductory press conference, you said, I'm ready. I'm ready to take this team to new heights. Were you as ready as you thought you were?
Definitely not, because I didn't know what this journey was going to be about. But I'm learning every day. Hopefully I'm better tomorrow than I am today, and I'll be better next year than I am right now. But what you want to do is see constant improvement, and hopefully I'm able to continue to improve.